All right. First, we're going to start with the chorus fire delisting because this was pretty big news. So this actually happened, I think the day, this was the day we got to the YOLA event. So wasn't really able to cover it because, we were at the event.
A little busy.
So caught up afterwards. But first, I'm just going to read USAP's statement on this whole thing. So their statement said, in November 2024, Chorus Pickleball submitted 2 new variations of the original Fire HX paddle, the EX and the SX, for certification. Due to a communication misunderstanding between the third-party testing facility and USAP on November 22nd, USAP understood the Fire EX and SX paddles had been PB Core tested and passed. Therefore, the Fire EX and SX paddles were listed as USA Pickleball approved. USAP subsequently learned that our testing facility had not fully PB Core tested the Fire EX and SX. We conducted the full suite of testing, including the required PB Core test on both the Fire EX and SX models. Both paddles failed to meet the PB Core standards. To clarify, any delay or misunderstanding in this situation has nothing to do with the integrity of the PB Core testing, and Chorus Pickleball correctly followed the procedures. As of today, February 13th, both paddles have been removed from the USA Pickleball approved list. As a result, the Fire EX and SX paddles will no longer be permissible for tournament play, effective immediately. Additionally, the Chorus Fire HX paddle will be sunset as of July 1st, 2025. USA Pickleball remains committed to upholding the highest standards of transparency, accountability, and integrity in our equipment testing. We take this matter seriously and will continue to refine our process to maintain the trust of the pickleball community. Now, there were a few other statements afterwards. Chorus kind of had a small joint statement, and USAP had one little follow-up, but it was largely not important to the discussion. It was kind of just, we take this seriously, we're going to fix it, yada, yada, yada. This, to me, there's been blunders that have been kind of annoying, or maybe they've moved a little slow on some things, but this one is the worst one I've seen yet. I mean, one of the things that got talked about at the media day was what, John from Speak Pickleball basically asked, what trust can consumers have that, your seal means what it means, the paddle's good to go, they don't have to worry about it if they see the seal. And then something like this happens, and it's the seal actually meant nothing because this paddle was in the market for 2 months. And then they just went, oh, actually, sorry, we didn't actually do the test we were supposed to do. So we gotta pull that thing back.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
It does seem kind of ridiculous. My biggest thing is dude, at this point, anything can just get removed randomly. And I think you posted something shortly after this came out on your Instagram story. It's every day it seems like the USAP stamp means less and less.
Yeah.
And it's you just can't be trusted anymore, and it doesn't mean anything, especially for people like us trying to recommend and tell people paddles to buy. If we look at that stamp and say, yes, this should be completely certified, legal, and approved, but then we tell somebody to buy it and 2 weeks later it gets removed, that makes us look really bad.
Right.
I mean, even worse, on top of them. So it's just silly. It's how many times can there be a communication misunderstanding? Because we've heard that line a couple times now. So it's just really frustrating as the community. We can't trust this anymore. Yeah,
at the event, they criticized maybe isn't quite the right word, but basically questioned, reviewers, why are you guys reviewing prototype paddles? You should know better. You shouldn't talk about that. Just look at the approved list, and if it's on there, you're good to go. Well, look at the Fire. Yeah, it was on the approved list for 2 months. Everyone said it was good to go, and then you just
yanked it right off.
So I don't know. I find that criticism kind of silly, and then we're dealing with something like this. And on top of it, I feel like USAP is lucky that this was not, imagine this was the True Foam. The huge launch, everyone's looking forward to it. They sell tons of them. They're in everyone's hands. And then 2 months later you go, oh, sorry, I got to pull that back. Everyone would be rioting. The only reason I think this one wasn't a bigger deal than it is because they just didn't sell as many as a large launch, right? Yeah. I think in terms of reviewers, the Fire wasn't that well covered this time around. So I'm sure that, caused part of that. But I just think if it had been a big launch, if it had been another Yola, a Selkirk, a Carbon, this would have been insane.
Oh yeah, if there was 100,000 units sold like the Gen 3s,
Yeah.
I mean, people, if we had another Gen 3 debacle, I mean, this would be insane. People would be so pissed. I mean, we already see jokes like when the True Foam got released, the amount of people that came up to me and were like, first, is it good? What do you think? And then immediately after, like, well, is it going to get banned? It's like, that's the joke now. And the more and more of this we see where paddles are just getting pulled off randomly, the more and more that joke gets made. And it's harder for me to be like, well, I can't say for sure. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
No.
supposedly approved, and it could totally just get pulled immediately. And the more we see these foam paddles, there's the True Foam, Diadem's got theirs, like the
Selkirk.
Flamingo, Selkirk, like all these paddles. Anytime anyone hears foam now in the pickleball community, they're like, oh, that might get banned, because of the Gen 3. So, and I can't confirm or say, yeah, it won't get banned. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
So it's just really frustrating. And it's making things really hard for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it feels like you don't know who to trust anymore about whether a paddle is good to go or not.
Right.
With the manufacturer, can you trust that they're telling the truth unless they show you all of the certification documents? And then even if they show you all the certification documents, what if the paddle, plays a lot hotter than it should, and then people start questioning, is this legal? And then is it going to get pulled? Was there a mistake on the back end? It just makes it really hard to give advice to a consumer on what to do when at this point, no one knows. You just have no idea.
Right. Like it's hard for us to trust USAP, and now it's getting even harder for consumers to trust our opinions because of their mistakes. It's like, what are we supposed to do about that? Like we're supposed to be able to trust the stamp and say, this is good to go. It's been approved. It's gone through all the processes, and now it's in the market and you're able to play, buy it, do whatever you want. But that doesn't really mean that anymore. Like it can have a stamp and it could be gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I just, I wonder what they're going to do to kind of resolve or fix this issue. Cause like now it's tarnishing the reputation, which is hard to fix.
Yeah, for sure. And on top of that, I think what's even more interesting is, we've play tested the Fires, and especially the ones we got that weren't broken. They're in the power paddle category, but there's still paddles above it that I think if you gave it to enough people, they would say, yeah, that like a paddle tech hits harder. So I look at the PB Core test and go, we've talked a lot about this. I think a lot of the different podcasts have talked about this, but it doesn't feel like PB Core lines up with how most people feel about paddles. Now, whether that's the people being wrong in their assessment of the paddle, or people are just not picking up on something that the test does, who knows? But to me, when you've got like 10 out of 10 people saying, yeah, this paddle hits harder than that one, and then PB Core says, oh, that one that is softer actually is higher, I just don't understand. I continue to get PB Core results from companies just sharing results with me, and I go, that result makes no sense.
Yeah, it seems so backwards. And then, with the Fires, it's like the paddle techs, in my opinion, definitely hit harder than the Fires.
Yeah.
And so why is one getting removed and the other isn't? Like, there's just, things don't line up, and they just don't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to be able to trust the PB Core test, but it's hard.
Yeah. I don't know. I have a feeling things are going to be messy for a while with paddles, but it just sucks to keep seeing people get hurt in this, especially when someone like Chorus didn't even do anything wrong. They literally did everything they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then just gets told, nah, sorry.
Like, nothing they did was their fault. You know, so that's tough.
I hope USAP is helping them with something, for the damages, because I just don't know how you can not when it's your fault.
Right.
Like, I don't know. But that's the Chorus Fire situation. If you bought one and it's delisted, I believe Chorus is handling all refunds. They'll fully give you a refund on it or whatever. So, feel free to reach out to them. But that is definitely a bummer that this happened. We did not need more of this in pickleball.
Could you imagine if that happened to the 11.624 Powers now? All the people that were already excited to buy it, and now like there's people that were pissed they couldn't get their hands on one, and now it gets removed.
That's the perfect example, actually. If that had happened to that, that would have been bad.
People would have pitchforks and torches outside of USAP. I mean, it would be insane there and at David's place. Yeah. So it's you just never know. Like, he could have done everything right to get everything approved and certified. And then they go, well, we made a mistake. Bye.
Yeah.
Seems silly.
Bad. And this is also probably why, I've already said this, but I'm definitely going to be asking for documents for reviews moving forward, because at this point, I don't want wrapped up in this mess. Like,
cross your T's and dot your I's.
Exactly.